Rachel, I have a surprise for you. And
I'm scared.
All I can say is that
I'm afraid.
Mr. Caleb Jacoby has done it again.
Star Wars, Transformers, Godzilla,
Is that Allison?
animation, whatever else.
Is that him? Who is it?
It's me.
Oh.
Rebels, robots, and etc.
Oh my god.
Well, it's Wednesday night.
Caleb's
and
done it again!
We're back.
3 months after asking him.
I messed it up. Okay, I haven't fully gotten down our new intro. I gotta refer to it here. It's Wednesday night, and Cameron and Rachel are hanging out again, which must mean it's Starformers Zilla-mation night. Welcome to Rebels and Robots and RAR, episode 46.
We can't do Raw anymore. Oh no, are we doing Raw anymore?
Well,
we still are.
this week we're still talking about Monarch.
Oh, I forgot we still had to talk about it.
And we're talking about Godzilla movies for the next 4 weeks. We'll talk about that in a second. I'm Cameron,
I'm Rachel.
and this is our weekly to bi-weekly chat, depending on the
Whatever
time.
what we're
Mostly
feeling.
bi-weekly chat right now about Star Wars and
Transformers.
Godzilla.
Godzilla.
And whatever else we want to talk about. You just heard our new theme song, courtesy of Caleb Jacoby.
Jacob
Jacoby.
Kalobi.
He
Jacob Schmalobi.
he killed it again. He absolutely destroyed it. I will take credit though. I added the credit or whatever you want. If you hate it, whatever.
He plagiarized his music.
No, I took the song it gave me and I added the vocals.
Plagiarism.
Which is my voice whispering with a helium effect on it
Plagiarism.
to make it sound like a kid.
Where did you get a hold of helium?
It's in a post-production effect.
Oh, okay.
And so yeah, I think it really captures our new
Our love
direction.
of the Midnight.
The Midnight.
The band.
Oh yeah.
That's a reference for our other friend named Caleb.
And so today we will be talking about the season 1 finale of Monarch Legacy of Monsters. The monster here for 30 seconds. Now it's gone. That's the name of the show. And actually, a really excellent conclusion.
I know. It was actually good. I can't believe the show got me excited. I was actually mad afterward.
And before that, we have quite a robust news section for this week. There's a lot going on. So Rachel, go ahead and kick us off.
Well, first of all, if you don't follow our socials, we did a mega year-end, or like a year-end recap of some of our best moments.
Mm-hmm.
Alternative, we could have you just post a mega episode of every single episode.
I don't even know how long that would be. That would be, I don't even, like hours. That's got to be a minimum of 60 hours.
At least 1 minute. Anyways, on to the biggest news that just dropped 2 days ago. Lucasfilm and Disney just dropped season 3 trailer for Bad Batch and the release date, which will be February 21st. And we will have 3 episodes to watch that night.
This coming mere days after we established our calendar.
I know.
For the next, we finally sat down and figured out exactly when we were going to talk about the legendary verse movies.
Someone at Disney listened to our podcast.
So, within the next 2 months, we have to talk about the first half of Bad Batch season 3.
And
we're going to talk about the 4 MonsterVerse movies that lead up to Godzilla vs. Kong, or Godzilla X Kong. We're talking about Godzilla X Kong. And if we keep our promise, we also have to talk about Kung Fu Panda 4. All in the span of a month and a half.
Continuing Bad Batch.
Yeah. So we had our calendar very cleanly laid out.
We did.
And then Lucasfilm was like, oh, also guess what? A month from now, we're going to start Bad Batch season 3.
Here's 15 new episodes.
It took them a year and a half to finally release Bad Batch season 2.
I know. And even then, we got the trailer way before, didn't we?
Well, here's the thing. Yes, we got a trailer way before because it was supposed to release with Andor.
Oh,
And then they like the day before they pushed it back. So it was gonna be a little over a year after the first season, and then they pushed it back like another 5 or 6 months.
throwback to when we pulled up Disney to watch Andor, and they had like made the tab for Bad Batch season 2, but when you clicked on it, it just said 0 episodes.
And
Andor, the best show.
like, I'm excited to have that for podcasting purposes, but I'm not happy that's happening at the same time we're doing the MonsterVerse stuff. But
Man, we're gonna have to talk.
the listeners are going to be feasting well. If you like this podcast or you just enjoy listening to it, I think we might hit 3 hours on one of those episodes. It might, but you know what? It
King of
might.
Monsters.
They're going to be minimum 2 hours episodes, I think. So.
We have to cut into our meme minutes.
Well, we might as well talk about that now while we're talking about it. So as of right now, our calendar is, as far as the MonsterVerse stuff, we will be. Oh, I have it on my phone, not my laptop. The dates for that are, in case you want to watch along at home, we will be talking about Godzilla 2014 on February 7th. Kong Skull Island on February 21st. These are this is going to be the day that we podcast. Typically, I edit the podcast really late, so technically it'll come out the very end of that day. Most likely, most people would be listening to it on the next day.
The 21st will also have the first 3 episodes of Bad Batch.
Yeah, so that will be our first Bad Batch season 3 episode. So we'll get one clean episode of just Godzilla stuff. And then on March 6th, we will podcast about Godzilla King of Monsters.
The best one.
And then that will also be 2 episodes of Bad Batch season 3. And then and then the following week, if we go according to our schedule, so on March 6th we are podcasting about King of Monsters. That 2 days after that, on March 8th, as of right now, is when Kung Fu Panda 4 comes out. So how I have it scheduled on here, and this is prone to changing, we would podcast that following Wednesday about Kung Fu Panda and 1 episode of Bad Batch. And then the following Wednesday, we would watch Godzilla versus Kong. And then on March 27th, we would podcast about Godzilla versus Kong and 2 episodes of Bad Batch. And then that following Friday or that following weekend, we would watch the new Godzilla X Kong, the New Kingdom or whatever, New Empire. And then on April 3rd, we would podcast about that.
And thus, the Hollow Earth will be reorganized.
Oh my gosh!
Until the first New Empire.
So that's I'm sure everyone has that in their head already, but that's the schedule as of right now. And in there, I'm not going to officially announce it. I'll just tease it. We will probably have a guest. We are scheduling. We are working on scheduling.
I forgot
a guest.
We talked about this.
And so I'm not going to officially announce it just in case it falls through. But hopefully within that series of MonsterVerse, March Madness is going to be half of February.
Just do Monarch Madness.
It's going to be a good time. So stay tuned for that. Rachel, what other news you got? Well, I mean, okay, actually, no. Real fast, let's talk about the Bad Batch season 3 trailer.
Like, we're just gonna skip over.
I was going to. We just now watched it just a few moments ago.
Stood in front of the TV like 2 dads that didn't want to watch a movie.
Yes. There wasn't much beyond one thing that I'm sure both of us saw in the news cycle this last week. The reveal of a character being in it. Outside of that, yes. So the big...
Oh, sorry. Spoilers!
The big news in this is that Asajj Ventress is in it. And if you don't know, Asajj Ventress was Count Dooku's apprentice during the Clone Wars.
And she was previously a Jedi before that.
Was she really? I did not know that.
She was. Spoilers
was she, at the Jedi Temple?
Yes.
Like an official Jedi?
She had a master, and he died in an early battle. It might have been against the Separatists.
Interesting.
And I don't... I've seen her episodes. I don't remember... 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 I don't remem why she turned. It's been a hot second since I've seen the Clone Wars, and I only have enough mental RAM to remember one show down to the T, and that's Rebels and Andor.
Let's see here. So, I'm trying to find here. I just saw it, and then the
Well,
webpage.
he's trying to find
So
that.
she was later discovered. Okay, so her. I started talking a little too soon. So she was born as a Night Sister, which is
yes.
the
Dathomirian witches.
exactly. Early in her life, her coven was forced to surrender Ventress to the criminal Halstead, who spirited Ventress away from her sisters to the war-torn world of Ratatak. Where she was enslaved in her service. She was orphaned by her master when her master was killed by pirates and later discovered by Jedi Knight Kai Narek, who was stranded on the planet and waging a battle against the pirates. The master raised Ventress and taught her the ways of the Force and the ways of Jedi Order, although together they protected the populace. So she was not raised in the Jedi Temple.
No.
She was a Night Sister who was saved and raised by a Jedi. But she kind of got Jedi training, but she was also a Night Sister. But then after a decade of doing that, Narek was killed by the pirates, and this led her down the dark side, and she was eventually found by Dooku in a gladiator ring, which we definitely see in the 2D animated Clone Wars cartoon.
Mm-hmm. One of the interesting things about her coming back is that we've not had an on-screen appearance for her since Clone Wars ended. She did not come back in season 7, but a book was written called Dark Disciple. It's a canon novel, and Ventress is one of the main characters alongside Quinlan Voss. And it was written to cover an eight episode arc for the show.
Yeah.
And then they made it into the book, which is going to be very interesting because do you care about spoilers for Dark Disciple?
I do not. But I think I know what you're going to spoil, though.
I haven't read it, but I'm about 80% sure it's a romance.
Yeah, I've heard this.
Ventress dies.
Yeah.
But then there's been, I can't remember, I don't know if it was Filoni or Favreau, but they made a comment that they wanted to make sure it was respectful to that previous canon. But recent Star Wars has been really good about decanonizing actually like previous Disney canon in the books. So another interesting time it happened was after Tales of the Jedi came out, decanonized some things in the Ahsoka novel.
Okay, so here's what the official Wikipedia article says about Ventress's death. It says she sacrificed herself when Dooku attempted to kill Voss with Force lightning by absorbing the blast to protect her lover. Her apparent death finally motivated Voss to renounce the dark side, and she was honored for her sacrifice by the Jedi Council. Ventress's body was later laid to rest in the waters of her clan's village of Dathomir.
Oh, so she probably didn't die. They just probably brought her back.
Well, there's one of two things. First off, to address what you just said, Filoni has said they are not decanonizing that book. That book is still canon. So those events still occurred. So there's one of two things going to happen. Either the most obvious of which she didn't actually die.
Dead.
She
wasn't totally dead. She was almost dead.
We've already seen plenty of Dathomirian black magic bringing people back to life. Maul being the most famous. But also, she's being brought back in a show that's all about the clones. It might not be the original Ventress. She might be a clone.
Oh my gosh.
I think it's very possible.
Cameron, are we going to get our Luke in this?
Very possible. I mean, she's already visually different. She has hair. One of the most absurd haircuts in Star Wars. It looks horrible. It's like it's still entirely shaved on one side and then short and waved over. It looks like a really bad comb over is what it looks like. And she has a yellow lightsaber, which she previously had 2 red lightsabers. Is this our first real, like, yes, Rey has a yellow lightsaber for 1 second at the end of episode 9. I don't really count that.
The Temple Guards were shown to have yellow lightsabers.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Yep. So that's the big reveal of the Bad Batch season 3 trailer. It's very brief.
But we had some clone appearances, like it isn't the Bad Batch. We see, well, if it's not Wolf, it's someone in Wolf's armor.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure we saw Cody too. I mean, a lot of them are identical and sound the same. So I don't know if it exactly was Cody, but that would make sense. We've been waiting to see where Cody showed up, and I guess he's been in jail the whole time. So if that's true, we were right. He didn't actually escape. He just got kidnapped to jail. We noticed a couple funny things. Some of the scenes had been flipped of Hunter.
So I'm looking at a photo of him now. His tattoo is on the left side of his face. So most of those shots were correct. It was the one shot where it was on the right side that
it had flipped it and it made it look like he was tattoo-less.
If you closely watch a lot of trailers for things, this is actually a fairly common choice. I have no idea why trailer editors choose to do this. It's almost always seemingly totally unnecessary, but it does create a continuity error that's quite funny.
I was like, did he just draw it on every morning?
I would love that. That would be like, what is it? There's, I can't think of it. There's something like that where you think a character has a permanent thing on their face and it turns out to be makeup. Yeah. It would be very funny if it turned out. It's kind of like that fact that Batman always wears makeup under the space between the edge of his mask and his eyes actually are is makeup, and very few Batman things address this. That would be good.
There were some other things that something else we found interesting. So there's a scene of what I guess is this new clone making. I think it was the mountain or something like that, where Omega and Crosshair were at the end. And we see a child, and that child is not Omega.
Well, it looks identical to Omega, just has a different haircut. So whether that is or is not Omega is yet to be seen.
True.
But
broken spirit Omega.
One of the cliffhangers from the previous season was that the woman working in that facility was also a female clone. Correct? Am I remembering that correctly? So it could go either way. That could just be Omega. You gotta sell different toys, get her a different haircut, but also it could be another version of her.
We did unfortunately see Crosshair, but
I wasn't looking when he showed up. I was looking down at my phone, and the noise you made.
He looked very sad, and that was acceptable to me.
Now here's the question. I was gonna wait until. Obviously, I was expecting to wait till Bad Batch season 3 started to ask this question, but here we are. Does this reset our last days into incident with Crosshair? Does this reset it?
I think so.
Well, okay.
This is the worst. Maybe we shouldn't have watched the trailer.
No, I didn't come prepared with the day counter. I got to look it up. So the last episode of Bad Batch came out on March 29th, 2023. Also, just note, out of 3,000 reviews on IMDb, it has an average user rating of 9.1 out of 10. That last episode. That is way too high. That's ridiculous. I think Bad Batch is a decent show at times. It is not a 9 out of 10 at any point ever. That show never gets to that point.
Do you know who we didn't see in the trailer?
Who?
Sid.
Yeah, I thought about that.
I feel like we saw the planet, but we didn't actually see Sid, which I'm kind of okay with.
Okay, how many days since, what was it, March 29th?
Imagine if we'd made it a whole year. That would have been really funny.
It has been 301 days since our last Crosshair incident. Okay. Any other? There's not much else to note from this trailer.
Well, hold on. We saw some other returning characters of Fennec and Cad Bane.
That's true. That's true.
So, which was paired over. Someone say they're all coming for you. So I'm guessing it's going to be. Oh, look, the bounty hunters are after them again.
Yeah. We briefly see Palpatine.
We do, with some Imperial Red Guards, which is really cool.
And commandos, correct?
Yes. And one thing I thought was really funny, I don't know if you saw this. They did a flashback of Tech falling, and they put like a sepia tone over it.
Yep, yeah.
I guess just to remind you. Okay, here's my unpopular opinion. Tech needs to stay dead.
Correct. No, I don't think that should be unpopular.
Well, it's going to be an
It should
unpopular
correct.
opinion on the internet. Not an unpopular opinion here. But Tech should stay dead because... So all the jokes are, no dead, no body, no death. Jokes are funny, but every time you fake someone's death out and they're actually alive, it just cheapens it. It cheapens everything.
If I had to guess, my guess would be that they're going to pull a Spock. So famously, spoilers for a movie that's from the early 80s, in the second Star Trek film, Spock died. And the next one... I think they went and found his body again or his spirit, one or the other, but he did not come back with any of his memories. Like he was technically Spock, but he was not Spock.
See, I think I would find it acceptable if they made a clone of Tech, but it wasn't Tech.
I think that's what they're probably going to do.
That would be
prediction.
fine, but I just, like I said, like, all the death fake outs, it just after a while, it really just kind of gets like, okay, so this is meaningless.
Yes.
One thing there are a couple, so on February 21st, there are 3 episodes. On March 13th, 2 episodes will release in that night. And then on April 3rd, 2 episodes will release in that night. There's only one singular episode for the series finale.
Interesting.
So it's probably
Better
going to
be good.
long.
And what is the date for that? How close is it to May 4th?
It is May 1st.
Okay.
That is the last episode. And it's episode 15. So
too many episodes, man. Too many.
So here's my thing. So there's 15 episodes. What if, and the last episode is actually called The Cavalry Has Arrived, which is interesting because that's actually the first line when we're introduced to the Bad Batch when they show up in Clone Wars. That's what Wrecker says.
Really?
But however, I got 2 theories. Either we do get a clone uprising, which I have been waiting for.
Yes, I thought it would happen in season 1.
And maybe, and if that's Wolf, maybe that's why maybe we do get a clone uprising. Or 2, the Cavalry Has Arrived just means we have 14 episodes of no Bad Batch. And they just show up in the last episode, and then they go, oh, we gotta wait another year for season 4. No.
Yeah. I had a thought about that, which was, I read that season 3 is going to be premiering on the 4th anniversary of the Bad Batch's introduction.
Oh, that's cool.
In season 7 of Clone Wars.
Maybe they were like, when is the 4-year anniversary? Oh, that's coming up. We need to release the trailer. This was, and since it's been a while since we podcasted, I put this on, but the release date for Godzilla vs. Kong got moved up, which we've talked about. Sorry, that was it for all I had for Bad Batch. Did you have anything else?
No, that is all.
So, one thing I saw was really interesting. A few weeks ago, director Takashi Yamazaki, who's the director for Godzilla -1, got to screen -1 at Lucasfilm.
Oh, very cool. I saw a picture of him visiting there. I didn't realize that's why he was there.
Yeah, they all sat and watched Your flashlight's on.
Oh.
So it was apparently it's organized by Dave Filoni, so that he got to come screen his film. They all got to watch it. So it's actually kind of funny because several weeks prior to this, Yamazaki had said he wanted to get a call about making a Star Wars movie. Now, I don't know if that's connected, but it's still really exciting that he got to have that cool opportunity.
In relation to this, this may have been a gift to him. I don't know. But it is a drawing that I think that Filoni himself did. It's a drawing of Ahsoka in a like a cartoony version of in a Godzilla.
No, that just
outfit.
looks like the original puppet.
So there's a fun
cute.
crossover between 2 subjects from this podcast. Also, if we're talking about Takashi, I thought you would enjoy this at the Critics' Choice Awards. He showed up wearing these shoes. where the heels are like Godzilla claws, but like they're grabbing his foot. Rachel is
I
very
need
excited.
Those. I need those. I work in an office, and I'd wear those to work.
So I thought that was very, very cool.
I love that. So Variety reported also about 2 weeks ago. Diego Luna says, well, this is like on the 15th that I saw this, so around that area. Diego Luna said that he only had 1 week left to film for Andor season 2.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exciting.
Yeah, I saw that it had officially wrapped filming.
So
we're getting there.
I hope it's good. I have 2 panels. Not 2 panels. I have 2 comic pages I would like for you to read.
Okay.
It's very easy. It's from the new Transformers Skybound. So all you have to do is, so this is the first one, then you just flip to the next one.
So we
So
got
Skybound is the very beginning of a new iteration.
a yellow sky.
Optimus Prime has landed on Earth.
Oh, so this is the first time he's on
it's
Earth.
like this is the first issue of the new comic
I
series.
see. The world. What beauty. It's unbelievable. Crunch. He stepped on a deer. He's like, oh no. I'm so
You
sorry.
didn't have to read it out loud. I just want to see your reaction.
That's taken straight out
is
of Iron Giant. The shot of the deer under his foot is too much. The sound, so good.
So the funny thing is I saw the next couple pages. This is the outline of a human,
and
and the next couple pages is just the most nonchalant reaction where the guy's like, "Oh, you didn't mean it. It's okay." It's just,
that is straight out of
it's aggressively.
Iron Giant.
This is me during hunting season when I rolled up on my deer to find out it was a perfectly legal yearling, like emphasis. And I was like, oh, he's just a baby.
Okay, so in other news,
That's all I had.
I've got some. I'm really surprised you don't have one of these, but one that's not greatly news, but so we are getting a black and I don't know if it's in theaters or
yes.
not.
It's
Black and
going
white
to release
version
soon.
of Godzilla -1, and I really like
I
the
just saw that today.
the explanation. I don't know. This isn't in quotes or anything, so I'm not sure exactly what this is, but this is someone's explanation from the team as to why you'd want to watch it in black and white. The original 1954 Godzilla is, of course, in black and white. And that in and of itself made us interested in what a Godzilla film would look like created with modern technology in black and white. But simply removing the color alone wouldn't evoke the same type of emotion we are trying to instill in audiences, which is why we went back to the colorist and we actually masked different portions of each shot and adjusted the contrast by hand as opposed to simply hitting the remove color button.
Wow.
This process made it look like it was composed by a professional still photographer. For us, removing the color in some way increases the reality, feeling almost like a documentary and making the audience feel like a Godzilla actually exists.
Wow.
This version of the film is way scarier than Godzilla -1 with color. Even the team members working on it, we'd get goosebumps because in many ways it feels like a different film.
Because they called it Godzilla -1 minus color.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
So yeah, I did see that. That's really exciting. Did you know Godzilla -1 is still showing in our local theaters?
I did not.
I just looked. It still has.
I think they brought it back. I think it went away.
They extended it,
and then they
yeah.
this is a re-release technically. But yeah, the big news though. I mean, not huge news, but like the Oscars got announced a couple days ago.
Oh, they did.
Godzilla -1 got nominated for Best Visual Effects.
Woo!
Which is incredible considering the budget in comparison to the movies it's being, other nominated films like, I know that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 got nominated.
I forgot that movie came out last year. I never watched it.
It's pretty good. But I would definitely, like, Volume 3, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 looks incredible. But, like, I would definitely give it to Godzilla -1.
How excited are you for Madam Web?
Not at all. I did not. Oscars 2024 visual effects. Let's see what else is nominated. I would imagine, actually, in a lot of instances, I don't know if this. What is it called? I'm totally blanking. Oppenheimer's not been nominated for Best Visual Effects in a lot of... it did not get... So you have the creator, which also deserves it, because if you don't know, the creator was the new Gareth... Edwards. Oh, I'm totally
Sounds right.
blanking. The guy who made Rogue One. His movie, which is only $80 million, and he did a lot of the visual effects, worked on them himself. That was also very similar to Minus One. It's a smaller film and really focused on doing the visual effects in a better way. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. I'm a huge Mission Impossible fan, so it's hard for me to knock that. And Napoleon, which I didn't see, but
Rebel
did
Moon
look
didn't
good.
get anything.
Thank God. So all these are pretty deserving, but man, just the use. Like, I think when you look at these, I don't know much about the technical things, but I think you should consider use of the visual effects. And Godzilla Minus One, just the use. Like, Godzilla himself is a visual effect, and he is so incredible.
I mean, I don't know. Watching that scene where he steps down on the pavement and it breaks it and flings people ragdoll style up into the air, that's like ingrained in the back of my eyelids. There's
Yeah.
something so unnerving about that.
And in other news relevant to this podcast, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny got nominated for Best Original Score, which is our man John Williams.
Oh man.
Which I did not fact check this. I saw this in an article, but it was from a website I trust.
That's my job to not.
He
fact
is
check
now
things.
has the most nominations of any individual, and also
Oh my
the oldest person to be nominated for an Oscar at like 91.
Whew.
Pretty awesome to him for him. Probably not going to win, but it's cool that he got. He's kind of one of those guys at this point who, if he makes a movie, he's almost certain to get nominated, especially if it's not necessarily a super strong year. So props to John Williams for still out here. Last week, actually, that's funny because I was listening back to last week's episode and we were talking about him doing the theme for the college football national championship, and you said, didn't he retire? Apparently not.
Yeah, I guess not. I had one last thing. It's not news though, but
Okay.
it doesn't fit anywhere else. I thought this was a story you would enjoy. At a social gathering last week, and we always start off our gathering. It's my small group. That's what it is. We always start off our nights with just a fun question, like we always do it. This week's question was, what was the last movie you cried to?
Oh, interesting. I don't have an immediate answer off the top of my head. Did you have one?
Yes.
Was it Godzilla Minus One?
It was.
Oh, I remember you telling me this. Yeah.
I remember I told you not. So I looked around the room. I said it was Godzilla Minus One, which got a mixed reactions of like, huh, and a couple laughter. Not like malicious laughter, but of all the things that had been said prior, like The Notebook and and other ththings, some biographies, very moving biographies. I was like, Godzilla Minus One, and the guy next to me goes, were you just a really big Godzilla fan going into it?
Yeah, but you didn't cry at Godzilla dying.
No.
Like, it was the human drama.
It was, and I felt put on the spot. I was like, it's probably the most emotionally in-depth movie I saw all year.
I mean, it's a phenomenal post-World War II drama.
For me. I know yours is Boy in the Heron.
It is. It's still my number 2 movie
Yeah.
of the year. Like, I'm not gonna knock it. Like, it is a incredible post-World War II Japanese movie.
And that's
so,
what I said. I was like, the main character is a failed kamikaze pilot dealing with survivor's guilt. Survivor's guilt and Godzilla. And they were like, oh.
I mean, I think what you have to realize is a really great Godzilla movie is mostly most Godzilla movies are mostly not about Godzilla. So a really good one means you have like 70% of a film that doesn't have Godzilla in it, so you just have whatever the human drama is. So it's 70% just a human drama about people living life after World War II in Japan. So yeah, I mean, I don't blame you at all. Now, here's the question. Was this question asked, and I know it was about movies and not TV, but was it asked before or after you watched the Monarch conclusion?
I'm not considering tearing up.
Okay, actually crying.
No.
Because you got close.
I did think about that, but as more of like the movie that I was more emotionally moved by,
Yeah.
definitely. Because you know what? I did think about Klaus,
Yeah.
but I've
Which
seen
we watched
Klaus
in
like
December.
4 times. So I was like, I'm going off the latest movie that I would say like moved me the most.
Sure.
So
Which just raised an interesting question of, is there anything in the Rebels and Robots interest area that does make you cry? Do any Star Wars movies or shows
Cameron, the music gets good when I cry. Oh, Jedi Knight.
Which is the episode of Rebels where Kanan dies.
Devastating. I feel like I probably get emotional at the end of Rogue One.
Interesting. Yeah. That music swells so good. That track is called Your Father Would Be
Your
Proud
father
of
would
You.
be proud of you.
So good.
Yeah. Anyways, that's such a good track. Well, actually, sorry, I'm actually due because the last track of the movie is called Hope. But yes,
No, that
yes,
track at
yes,
that scene, 'cause
track
it's not the last scene of the
at
movie.
The destruction of
Yeah,
almost
I
said
can't
Skarsgård.
remember. Scarif.
Scarif. That's what it. Destruction of Scarif was really good. Andor didn't move me to tears during the eulogy, but emotionally just like swelled. Because I wasn't like crying. I was like, kill the Empire energy. Oh man, see, now that you've asked me, the ending of like snap my fingers on my table. The ending of Return of the Jedi always kind of gives me like happy
Sure.
little happy tears, especially once they replaced Yub Nub.
See, I love Young Nub personally. That's gonna be the thing to tear this podcast apart.
For Star Wars, I do cry in King of the Monsters, so I probably will be.
At what point?
Spoilers for King of the Monsters, like 4 weeks in advance. When Dr. Serizawa,
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's all you have to say. That's all you have to say.
I crying during that
enough.
scene.
This is an excellent scene.
Oh, it's just so good. I cry at the end of Skull Island.
When the
credits
guy
scene.
goes home.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that.
I
You know that was shot later. I
Really?
read that recently. We can talk about it whenever we actually talk about the movie, but that was added way
so when
later.
we watch them, I will be crying.
Yeah, no, I mean, these are all really good examples. I have to be in a very particular mood, in a very particular setting. I'm not like above crying. Like I like it when art moves me to tears, but it's very rare for me. That's not how I respond. I don't think, I mean, definitely none of the Transformers films.
I'm laughing at your response because mine is I just gotta exist in the same room it's playing.
I think it's only happened a very small handful of times that movies have actually gotten me teary-eyed.
Wait, which Kung Fu Panda movies have I cried in? I don't think I cried in the first one.
Oh, I forgot. I animation, that's the most likely area to get me. Into Toy Story 4.
Kung Fu Panda 2, end of Kung Fu Panda 2. I do cry in Kung Fu Panda 3. End of The Lion King.
Fair. I mean, that's your favorite movie,
It is
period.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not when Mufasa dies. It's when Simba comes home and roars
Yeah.
into
Oh,
it.
yeah.
I'm like,
The king has returned.
I also cried during Spirit
Sure.
and The Polar Express.
Like we could make a video. It's like Cameron's list is like 3, and then Allison's list just keeps
Whose
going.
list?
Rachel's list. Allison's list would be very long too, but
What? Fox and the Hound.
really,
Yeah.
my only memory of that movie is it's boring as heck. But
Get out of my house.
I'm gonna use that to transition here. If I'm correct, which I'm gonna double check here.
It's during the song when she leaves Copper in the woods.
That's like the first scene of the movie, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's halfway through.
Oh, is it? Okay, I haven't seen it since I was a kid.
Because I own a fluffy animal.
Well, I'm gonna use that the transition. This is a killer transition, actually. Do you know who the voice of Copper is? Are you looking it up?
No, I was unlocking my
Okay.
phone.
It's Kurt Russell.
No.
Who is the
No.
shining
You're kidding
star? Not at all. He worked with Disney a ton when he was a kid. You know, he was the last thing Disney himself wrote before he died. when they found him dead at his desk, he had the name Kurt Russell written down. He
You're-
was like, "No,
you
I
are
am
pulling my leg.
I am
You are-
not.
you
it
are
sounds
bullying
ridiculous.
right
It is
now.
totally true. It is 100% true. He was like,
it's a good thing that was like I want him to continue carrying this on instead of Kurt Russell killed me.
we don't know. We don't know. It was like,
Kurt Russell put my head in the cryogenic freezer.
so Kurt Russell is the shining star of today's subject of Monarch, the absolute best part of the show by far. And so that transitions us nicely into discussing this final episode, episode 10 of this way too long season.
Would you like to know my immediate thought that I wrote down that we don't have to delve into right now, but we can talk about at the end?
Sure.
I wrote down, we pressed play. Do you think any of these characters survive the events of the future movies?
Man, I find it very difficult to think that this show will have any impact upcoming. I was really hoping we're not gonna, I mean, I don't think there's a spoiler to say this show does not end with something that seems like it affects the movies. This would have been phenomenal if it had come out before Godzilla versus Kong.
Oh,
like that would, this would have been the way this show does end up ending. That would have been a great, that would have made a lot, and then had what would have been ideal situation. This show comes out before Godzilla vs. Kong, and then these characters are in Godzilla vs. Kong. Then maybe Godzilla vs. Kong has a little juice because we already know the characters. And
I would have taken that over some certain returning characters.
Absolutely, 100%. Like, I would rather deal with a character I already know. It would have been better, for sure. But they're not really big stars. Nonetheless, famous catchphrase on this podcast, Beyond Logic is the name of this season finale. And it's mostly just...
it's flipping back between the Hollow Earth and above Earth.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The Hollow Earth stuff rules.
The crust.
It is so good. They finally get out of the very obvious real forest and then into an actual like science fiction-y fantasy looking area that we had seen in a previous episode whenever Kurt Russell's character
Shaw and May
Shaw had gone down there before. So pretty much the episode, as far as the characters in this Hollow Earth, is just a series of them revealing who they are to Kiriko. Is that character's name?
Yeah. Or no, Kiko.
Kiko.
We do get to see, and this is pretty early on, we do get to see Kiko and Shaw reunited. That's what had me tearing up a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's a very touching scene.
Yeah.
So he is like talking to her from behind a tree, so she can't see him.
Because he's old.
And she has only, from her perspective, she's only been down there for like 50 days.
50-something days.
Yeah. So she has, and then
you're just as
he
beautiful
steps out.
as the day I lost you. Yeah.
He steps out, and he's quite a bit older.
Old! Bald! But no, he's not bald. But.
So she has to be told that Bill is dead, her husband.
Gosh, that hurt.
And that...
And he's been dead for, at the time that this would have been...
like 40 years? 50 years? He died in the 70s, and it's
like
early 2010s.
Years.
And she then forces her, they tell her what year it is, and that she does the math and how old her son Hiroshi now is. That's when she realizes that May is her granddaughter.
No. Kate.
Kate. Yeah, not May. Kate.
Does.
Right.
I just... this is, I think, probably one of the most emotionally powerful scenes.
Oh, absolutely. It's great.
I think the acting between Kurt Russell and I don't know. I only know Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
I know him and Godzilla. That's the only actors' names I know.
Yeah. Dr. Kiko is played by Mari Yamamoto.
Okay. Just actually, I thought really good chemistry between these two. We've never seen them in a scene together.
Yeah.
Just very emotional, and it really actually breaks your heart for Kiko, who has been gone the equivalent of barely 2 months, and her husband's dead. Her son has grown up without her his whole adult life and has families of his own.
Yeah, and the one like golden moment that we do not get to see is, which will hopefully be in season 2, if hopefully season 2 happens, is her learning that her son is a scumbag. I really want to see that scene so bad. Kiko's gonna slap the crap out of him.
Honestly, all more to it. So, I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember how the scenes flipped back and forth.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. I'm not too worried about it.
In the Hollow Earth side of things, they go back to Kiko's camp, and Shaw notices that she has this gamma ray emitter, which is what they were using to call the kaiju through the portals. And so he was like, did it still work? And she goes, yes, I've been sending signals ever since I got here. And so in the last episode, we saw one of the Monarch scientists had noticed one of the portals had a consistent rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
So
which they interpreted as a signal.
Yeah, and so that was Kiko's signal. And so then they come up with the plan of basically, let's move it to Shaw's old equipment and see if they can get out the way that he was supposed to. Because when Shaw managed to escape, he didn't go with his ship. His ship is still there. He just got sucked through. So I do believe at this point it's between the Hollow Earth and quote unquote reality that's happening. We have a lot of scenes with oh my gosh.
Which character?
Kentaro.
Oh, sure.
Kentaro and their dad, Hiroshi. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of interactions. I believe, isn't this the episode where he tells him that Kate's dead?
That was the end of the previous episode, but they pretty much have almost the exact same conversation again.
Yeah, and so,
they do converse more about it though.
And so so they're still arguing. And then Tim from Monarch shows up because Tim wants to find the people in the Hollow Earth, and Monarch has pretty much just been like, "Yep, they're dead. Mm-hmm. There's no way we're going to find them. So cut your losses. Sucks to suck. We'll see." So Tim leaves. And he approaches Kentaro and Hiroshi, and they start conniving. One thing we thought was funny was the Hiroshi was speaking to Kentaro and his mom, Emiko. It looked like he was like packing up things. He's gonna go to California.
Yeah,
I'm guessing to his other wife to let her know Kate was dead. And so Emiko came, she gives him her wedding band, I believe. And she's like, when you find a new place, let Kentaro know where it is.
Well, yeah, this is a great like savage review. He's leaving sullenly, and she walks up to him and she's like,
we were like,
Kentaro needs his father. So let him know when you get.
Yeah.
Like it kind of seems like she might say you need to stay. She's like, let him know whenever you
find a new
get
place.
Somewhere. She's like, there's no chance,
and
dude.
We
are
slap
done.
Him, slap him, slap him. But his office is like still in the apartment. It looked like, unless it was an identical apartment. It was really weird.
It was whatever. He had 2 offices because there's. I don't blame you if you've forgotten most of this show, but it was fairly big scenes earlier in the show when Kate and Kentaro find his offices. Because that's what there was a lot of clues. There's one in San Francisco and there's one in Japan.
So he followed his dad. I'm gonna be honest, y'all. I was a little lost by episode 10. Maybe probably because of the story, but also because of the story. Because I was tired. But Tim says a very interesting comment when he finally gets Hiroshi on his side, because Hiroshi's like grieving.
Yeah.
And he's like, you guys are being jerks for telling me my daughter's alive. You're just being awful and mean to me. You're being mean to me.
I'm the victim here.
You're being mean to me. But Tim says a very interesting comment because he's left Monarch. and they're like, how are we going to do this without Monarch? And he says, Monarch isn't the only game in town, which I thought was a interesting way to phrase that. And so we're left on a cliffhanger. And so we get back to the Hollow Earth at this point, and Shaw and Kiko are setting up the gamma ray emitter, or the gamma emitter, I think that's just what it's called, to the ship ball. I don't know.
Like the shuttle. Oh,
Yeah.
ha.
The shuttle.
The pod, remember?
Oh, yes.
Because it's at one point,
Oh!
Shaw yells, "Get in the pod!" And I said, "This is how I'm gonna introduce every episode of the podcast from now on. Get in the pod."
Have you ever seen a shaker bottle that you put like workout, workout protein, like the one that I have over there? I feel like that's the equivalent of what that pod looks like in the Hollow Earth.
Is the metal ball in the shaker
inside the shaker bottle? So as they're almost ready to get things done when suddenly they turn on the gamma emitter, and guess who shows up? That little dragon thing.
Yeah,
We saw. I keep wanting to call it a crate dragon, and that is the wrong franchise. It was from that first or second episode of Monarch, back when we thought the show was going to be good.
Dang, dude.
If you like this show, more power to you. Anyways, I'm not going to linger on that. And so this dragon shows up and just is menacing them. The wind it causes from its wings disconnects the gamma emitter from the pod. Shaw has to get out and try to reconnect it.
Well, there's something very important happens in the middle there.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
he's trying to connect it, and suddenly.
No, it's before he has to get out that this thing
Then
happens.
you should say, because I don't remember what it is.
I mean, who else?
Is it before he gets out?
This is what causes the things start happening.
Yes, but I was saying the dragon. No, he gets out before the thing happens. He gets out of the pod to try to connect it because the dragon is about to eat him.
Oh,
when suddenly,
okay. No, you're right. Yeah.
When
okay,
suddenly,
and suddenly, out of nowhere, with no warning,
a new player has entered the chat.
Well, not a new player, just the player.
The player has entered the chat, and we see. This is actually very interesting how we see the portals work. The Hollow Earth is very interesting because it looked like this is actually different than what we will see in Godzilla vs. Kong, but it's almost like this elevator comes down. I don't know how to describe it.
Well, here
it's a crystal elevator that
I've got it on my laptop. Let's take a look. It has been a week since we watched this.
It looks like a crystal elevator.
Oh, I don't mean to turn on the audio.
Copyright.
It'll take me just another second. Give me a second here.
See, he's out of the pod.
No, none of them are in the pod yet.
I know what I'm about.
Everyone get in the pod.
Get in the pod.
I lost it at that moment. It was so funny.
See, look.
Oh, I'm also reminded now of the inside of the pod is 4 chairs that are all facing away from each other.
Swivel.
And whenever they need to look out the window, whenever Shaw needs to look out the window, all 4 of them have to rotate, which I found very, very funny.
So we see something coming in.
I'm trying to bring up the moment that the portal comes down, because I think elevator's not a bad analogy.
Looks like an elevator.
The fact that it just like comes shooting down from the sky.
It's
probably most similar, not real world, but like the what is it called in the Thor movies? The Rainbow Bridge. The
Rainbow Road. No.
Oh, dang it. What do they call that? I can't remember.
It's not Road to Valhalla.
The
the thing that or it looks like the Beam Me Up Scotty in a way on Star Trek.
Oh, yeah. A little bit. Huh. I'm sorry. I'm having trouble finding it. You can keep talking.
Anyways, so long story short, this little dragon is menacing Russell Shaw.
Russell.
What? Oh, Lee Shaw, Kurt Russell.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And then he arrives. The big man, the G-Man, Godzilla himself has arrived in the Hollow Earth. beckons to the call of the gamma.
Here's Godzilla coming out.
Look at it, he's floating down.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong.
Someone put some whimsical music to that.
God, it looks so good. Like, it is legitimately movie quality. Like, not just Godzilla. So now we have like this whole environment of the the Hollow Earth world.
Mr. G-Man himself.
I just continue to really love this Godzilla design. He
So
just
good.
because Godzilla can look very silly,
Beefy.
and this is just such a this design gives him so much personality, and he's legitimately scary, but also kind of heroic at the same time.
We talked a couple weeks ago because I have the concept art book for the 2014.
Yeah,
we can
yeah.
pull that out again when we watch it. And he went through a lot of renditions, and just that final design that we end up with for Legendary, so good. So Godzilla starts going to town on this dragon.
Well, and it fights back though. I've forgotten
It does.
about
It's
this.
actually pretty decently sized.
There's this part here where it like spits a bunch of stuff on him.
Yeah.
I don't like. Oh, and then that's when Godzilla like lays down the atomic breath
hurt.
on him.
He's like, all right, I'm not playing anymore.
But this is a phenomenal fight. It
And
is,
It's just
and it ends with him ripping the wing off of the dragon and throwing his body into the portal.
Yeah, don't forget he spins him around for a little bit.
He
grabs his wings and, like, spins him around.
I think one of the best things about the classic, like man in a suit kaiju movies is it looks like they're wrestling, and this gets to that energy.
Yeah,
for sure.
One thing I also think is very funny is that this Godzilla just has a very interesting mentality of like, it's just like he won't immediately attack. He just like stares him down, and then the other thing attacks, and he's like, it's personal now.
So then the portal is pretty much sucking everything in, and so it starts sucking in the pod.
And so Lee Shaw is still outside.
Yes.
Old Man Shaw is still outside, and in something that, and in the whole 2 minutes that Godzilla and the dragon were fighting, Shaw could have gotten in the pod.
Yes, he could have.
So the dragon is dead or dismembered. His wing and his body probably ended up in 2 different places. And Godzilla goes, or no, he doesn't actually. The portal has opened though.
Yeah.
And with the throwing of the dragon, and it starts picking up the pod, and Shaw is almost in, and he's hanging on. Kiko is holding his hands. They're trying to pull him in. There was actually kind of funny scene where May and Caitlin are holding onto her legs.
Yeah, pretty much what it is Kiko like has to climb out to grab Shaw's hand, and it's all dramatic. She's like grabbing his hand, and he's barely hanging on, and then it cuts to the inside of the pod, and May and Kate are holding her legs, and it is a very unintentionally funny cut,
and
for sure.
In a cheap decision, if you ask me.
Cheap as in literally, I don't think they can continue to afford him.
Shaw goes, I'm not making it out of here, or whatever. I don't know, some last comment makes Kiko let go of his hand, and so the pod goes through the portal. And
the last thing he says is thank you for everything.
Yeah.
And then he forces her to let go.
And the following happens to Lee Shaw. He is eviscerated by the portal and going through alone. He is...
Well, he drops down to the ground before they get to the portal.
He falls to his death.
Yeah.
Becomes buddies with Godzilla. And actually, one thing I thought was the dream.
Dude, if he just like showed up in Godzilla X Kong just riding Godzilla.
Hey, you know what?
Movie of the year.
We've seen in the trailer for Godzilla X Kong that there is a society down there.
Yeah.
Kurt Russell's just gonna show
Dude,
up again.
If they pull a Kong Skull Island, I'm trying to remember the actor's name, John C. Reilly, who was the guy who lived on the island. If they did the exact same thing but with Kurt Russell's character,
you know, I would
make this show relevant to the movie. Is what I'm
Yes.
saying. I would love that.
And actually, so this is another unintentionally funny thing, but we see Godzilla turns around to go back home because he's like, business done. And the pod like flies past his face, and Godzilla just like looks at it. Like how when you see a fly walk past. It was just I thought it was unintentional. It was just
I
funny to me.
didn't catch that. I'm watching it right now, but I have not seen that.
Live on the pod.
Live on the pod. This is them flying.
They're spinning, actually.
Are those things exclusive? Oh, there he is. Okay, yeah, you're right.
He's like, what in tarnation? When someone passes you on the highway going like 40 miles above the speed limit, you're like, huh?
Oh, and then they fly through the portal, and it's very Doctor Who-esque. And then they show back up, not in a random place. This is probably one of the most inexplicable things in this episode.
This looks like a landing zone.
Yeah, they land at what we will learn in a moment is an actual Monarch site. Like there's like floodlights. I'm guessing
There's asphalt.
So what we learn in another few minutes is it's been 2 years. Is that correct?
It has been It's 2017.
Mm-hmm. And I'm guessing in those 2 years they figured out. Oh,
Wait,
no,
it's not Monarch.
Yes,
It's not Monarch.
It's Apex.
Well, I spoiled it.
We already would have known that.
Spoiled
There's only
it.
one when what is his name? Tim?
Tim.
When Tim said you're not the only game in town, there's only one other company.
Do you know what's funny? I was like, who's he talking about? Because I forgot about them. So they arrive, they get out, they're quickly rushed by people with hazmat suits, probably in what should have been decontamination, because who knows what they're bringing back with them. But then we see Kentaro, who looks taller.
I don't think so. I think he's just tall.
They've all made it out except for Russell Shaw. So we see Kentaro and he's hugging. He's in a really good mood. He's very happy. Like he it's like he expected this, which I thought was interesting. And then
God. It's not necessarily inherently that funny, but the camera. So Kentaro hugs May and hugs Kate, and then the camera pans over from Kentaro to Hiroshi, and he's standing like his shoulders
He's standing
up and
like
forward,
a toddler,
and his sleeves are a little too long, and he looks like a kid who's shy.
He does. He looks like a little kid. That's just like.
And so he hugs. Kate.
This is actually I think this is a very sweet moment. And so
even though he's human trash man.
And then this is the other part that kind of made me tear.
This is, even though again, he's a human trash man, this is still a very sweet reunion with Hiroshi and his mother.
And she's younger than him at this point.
Pretty much, yeah.
I hope he doesn't. Hopefully he recognizes her as his mom and isn't like, eligible.
And I think we said somewhere in this time, and he just says mama. That's heartbreaking.
Cameron, I might cry again.
We mentioned somewhere in here, this is especially sad for her. Oh, and she says you got so big. This is especially sad for her because we said the one person that she knew before she went down is now dead. Mm-hmm. That was alive. Oh, yeah. Shaw. And her son is a scumbag. So she really doesn't have... I mean, I guess she's lucky to have Kate and Kentaro.
Maybe he has two wives because he has mommy issues.
She's going to bond better with Hiroshi's two wives than him.
Can you imagine your mother-in-law showing up and she's younger than you?
No.
And honestly, it's such...
This is probably one of the very few times in the whole show that the very slow pacing really pays off.
And she just wipes his tears away, just very mom. And I just... and then she introduces... Yeah. And it's Kate says our grandmother, which... And she claims Kentaro as her brother.
I didn't even realize what a nice end of the character arc that is.
Yeah. From
where they were at the beginning of the season to the end, this is my brother. She doesn't even qualify it though.
This is my
too complicated
brother.
Yeah, it's too complicated.
I wouldn't want to do that to my grandma either. We could sit through family therapy at a different time, and then we see whose name I don't remember. May's.
I think I have it written down.
May's old boss.
I don't have it written down. I don't care though. Yeah, from pretty much the head of Apex
with Tim, and this is where it's revealed that this is not Monarch. Her name's Brenda. That this is Apex.
Someone had to pay for all this.
And then we get a reveal of of where it is, which is actually, wow, that actually got me pretty hyped.
Yeah, and that's when Kentaro says a lot has changed in the last 2 years. That's our reveal that it's been 2 years
Oh, yes,
that they've
it's
been in the
2
Hollow
years.
Earth. It's only been like a couple hours or a day for them.
And then we hear alarms go off
So everyone is rushing in.
into this hangar area. Super they're very confused. That would be really
They have
hard.
no idea where they are on Earth.
Yeah. There's so many new iPhones out now. So they're seeking shelter. Then you see Apex Skull Island Research Station.
And if you know what Skull Island means, then this next reveal won't be too much of a surprise. But
Is the man, the other man.
Yeah, Kong comes out of the forest and beats his chest and yells and looks amazing.
Ah! And then it ends.
Yeah, so not much of a tease story-wise, but like it's fun to see Kong. And we know from the movies that Apex is on Skull Island and they've like pretty much quarantined it so they can research on the monsters there. And at some point, a young girl will develop a relationship, like a friendship with Kong, and be able to communicate with him via sign language. And so you would hope season 2, if it ever happens, will maybe explore Apex's relationship with Kong. And
Or
man,
what it? Yeah, it was Apex. I guess we don't see a whole lot of we don't see a whole lot of Monarch in Kong versus Godzilla because it's
no.
Millie Bobby Brown's dad is in charge of it.
Yeah,
from
so
King of the Monsters.
I have no idea what season 2 is going to be about.
If we get one.
Yeah, what it would be supposed to be about.
Ooh, actually, hold on. If they don't introduce and build up Dr. Sarasawa's son, before Godzilla vs. Kong, wasted opportunity. Absolutely wasted opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, I think one of the most obvious story points they could
Honestly,
hit
that
would
movie's
be
wasted opportunity.
Dr. Kiko returning to modern life and being pissed at what Monarch has
There's
become.
so many iPhones for her to take a look at.
So that would be interesting, is her having to figure out what her new life looks like.
She probably would have liked Dr. Sarasawa.
Yeah.
Mr. Let Them Fight.
And Godzilla vs. Kong came out in 2019.
2021. 2019 is King of the Monsters.
Sorry, that's what I meant to say. Yeah. So if that takes place at the time it was released, then that's still 2 years. 2017 is 2 years before that. So Sarazawa is still alive then. Any chance you think that Bill Randa is still alive somehow on Skull Island?
No. He is dead.
But overall, this episode itself, a lot of fun. Actual good emotional character beats. Like
I had a comment. Wow, they made a good episode.
yeah. As slow and meandering as this season was, it actually, a lot of it did pay off, especially with the core characters. There wasn't necessarily a build up to what Godzilla himself did in this final episode, but it was an incredible Godzilla fight.
I'm gonna be honest. So when we, in the past episode, when we see the accident with Shaw, there is we don't get to see what Titan came out. I wondered, there is a part, because we see it kind of grainy. I was like, is that supposed to be Godzilla? That would have been really interesting. Godzilla just shows up in the middle of Kansas. Can you imagine? In your backyard. Anyways,
I guess what I'm thinking about right now is like the point of this show, and it's a little muddled. Ultimately, it's about this core group of characters who are caught in the middle between all of this.
there
but
has
like,
to be something bigger for them.
like the monster element ultimately kind of feels frivolous. Like if you took the monsters out, the show wouldn't really change because the monsters are kind of happening around them. Like the whole purpose of Monarch is they exist to try to prevent monster attacks. but there's no development. This is kind of almost the issue with this show taking place between movies is we know there's not a monster attack that occurs, and they're not preventing a monster attack, and there's no imminent threat, and there's no, like, I don't even know, like, my mind immediately goes to something more like the Marvel universe, where, like, the whole plot around, Captain America Civil War was how do we, that's the whole point of the Avengers. The Avengers exist to prevent threats, and they ultimately almost always end up creating the threats. But so that's not necessarily like a great example, but I guess I don't know what would make the show better, but it doesn't feel like the monster stuff is connected in any serious way. Like the past stuff was the closest. The closest that we had was the stuff in the past where they were trying to find monsters, but they never really did. Like that was potentially like, kind of a silly example, but like one of the best elements of the How to Train Your Dragon movies is them learning about the dragons.
Can I admit something?
What's up?
I've never seen those movies all the way through.
Oh, interesting. I think you would like them. Well, he learns about the dragons, and
I read the book.
He learns about their personalities, but he also learns about their weaknesses and stuff. And like, I'm sure there are plenty of other examples of like creature/monster hunting. This show never got to that point.
Troll hunters.
I've never seen that one. The Netflix. Talking about
Or Troll Hunter.
So there's
What's the found footage one?
Troll. It's just called Troll, I think. It was a Troll Hunter.
Anyways, well, the moment has gone, so let's continue.
Troll. So I just like, I think they missed a beat with the bit in the past. They should have like discovered more monsters and like studied more monsters. Then there could have been a conflict in the present of like, where is that information? Who is using it? Why are they using it? And you have a little bit more of I think an obvious thing you can do here is, do we destroy the monsters? Do we try to like keep them in captivity? What should we be doing in our relationship to the monsters? But none of this is explored at all in the show. It just doesn't really feel like they figured out a way to make the show actually about monsters when that is the hook. And I don't know. What do you think about all this?
Just a couple thoughts from immediately after the episode before I get into all of my final thoughts. Shaw could have made it. He hadn't waited so long. Maybe his hip gave out. Don't know. He's kind of old. Okay, just throwing that out there. This is kind of more like lore, just comments I didn't have very well organized. Kiko will be able to watch that last video Bill made, the one he threw in the ocean.
Yeah,
because Hiroshi has it. I was kind of like, oh. May's connection to Apex is really interesting, and I'm very interested to see. Because King of the Monsters does not mention Apex at all. We don't know about Apex until Godzilla vs. Kong that I know of. And so they have 5 years before that appearance. So there's a lot for them to do. I'm guessing they're just kidnapping skull crawlers and feeding them to Mechagodzilla prototypes. I'm guessing that's what that is. But the connection to bringing Apex in was really cool. Oh my gosh, you could have cut it in half.
This show, absolutely.
So, no, just like, that's specifically in general. We had May acting all cool and mysterious for 6 episodes before it came to culmination.
And it didn't really mean anything, ultimately.
Corporate sabotage, and there were no consequences, I guess.
Not really.
Unless they just, like, execute her on the spot when they're behind a corner. I don't know. So this actually answered some thoughts because okay. Thoughts. The government knew of the existence of the Hollow Earth, Monarch, before it fell apart and Bill was just like one guy of Monarch, when we see him in Skull Island. So I would like to know, if I remember correctly, and if I'm wrong, I guess I'll admit it, when we watch King of the Monsters, the Hollow Earth tunnels were a surprise to Monarch.
Yeah, probably.
Because when they are following Mothra to go find Godzilla where he's taking a nap, like an almost dirt nap after the oxygen destroyer. Hi, Athena. That's my own Hollow Earth kaiju right there. I want to know how that information, granted,
Sorry, I thought my audio was off.
it would make sense that the government would go, hey, maybe we shouldn't tell people that there are holes in the ground that go to a new Earth. Maybe we should keep that top secret. Okay. But Monarch didn't even know about that. So I'm almost curious how that information got tampered down. I guess maybe it was chalked up to, Bill Randa, the old crazy man. He's spouting off things about tunnels in the Earth. But even then, Hiroshi, who is a part of Monarch, watched Shaw come back. So I just want to know, where is that disconnect in the 30 or something years? Like, because they are monitoring those tunnels in the Monarch show. After 2014, they're monitoring it. But I could have sworn when we watched King of the Monsters, when they go into the tunnels, they're surprised. And they're like, oh, yeah, it's actually confirmed. I don't know. Maybe I haven't seen it in a long time.
I would not expect too much from the continuity of this series.
Cameron.
I would not.
So I guess I'm just curious how they didn't know essentially 4 years later. So
I think if you want a logical explanation, I would say that the higher ups are trying to keep it close to their chest until they know things for sure and.
Till season 2's greenlit, I guess.
Yeah.
But then my other thing is, so this does answer my question, because when these guys went through, I was super confused. I'm like, how the heck did Apex know? Well, they found out. That answers that. Which, if I remember correctly from Godzilla vs. Kong, and I might have talked about this last episode, I think they did a lot of tests for the Hollow Earth, and they could never get through because of the gravitational force. Now, if this show confirms that the way to get into the Hollow Earth is by following a kaiju or something, I don't mind that plot point, because my thought was, how in the world did they get through in their ship in King of the Monsters if they had to follow Kong to do it? That makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
I was like, that would also make sense as to why Apex is like, hey, can you bring your giant monkey to Antarctica? Thanks. So
does I'm now really, this is not necessarily relevant to this show, but to the reveal at the beginning of Godzilla versus Kong that they have Skull Island quarantined off. Does that explain why Kong is not at the end of King of Monsters?
Yeah, I think so. So there's some comics and I believe a novelization set in between, actually after King of the Monsters, because I'll talk about this in Kong versus Godzilla. But so the Iwi tribe died.
Yeah.
And so the reason there's that big storm over
Skull
Island, it is residual from King Ghidorah's storm over I think DC. It traveled the whole time as like a Category 5 hurricane.
Crazy.
And or somewhere, and it traveled and it settled on Skull Island, which is their reasoning excuse for killing the Iwi tribe, and except for the one girl. But along with that, the darkness of the storm also allowed another kaiju whose name has escaped me. Big old bat thing. It's not Batra. It's got a different name, and I'll look it up more when we get to it. That also didn't help things. But so that is... actually, so there's part of that, but the storm wouldn't have been there during King Ghidorah's call. I think it's actually canonized that Kong just ignored him.
Oh, interesting.
I think it is canonized that Kong heard and went, no. I'll have to double check, read my novels, but...
Well, overall, a pretty decent show with an okay show with some very small bright spots and
We
a
watched
strong
it.
final episode.
We watched it.
And the show's way too long. I think 10 episodes, you really have to have a strong narrative. The show does not. I would have gladly accepted slightly or somewhat worse visual effects for more frequent monster action. That final sequence does look incredible, though, but that final sequence doesn't really necessarily have any narrative purpose. It's visually great. See, I think I'm really shocked they didn't just make it like your typical Monster of the Week show.
I know.
That enough, I think, would have been enough.
I would have watched an entire show set in the past of them just finding new kaiju.
I feel like that's such a basic television show element, and
Could have Ben tended up in here.
yeah, I don't think you have to have a super strong narrative. The show was trying to have a strong narrative. Like, it was trying to tell a story. So I think there needs to be a little bit, like, I think it even could have been like, you're trying to, if they were trying to make it, because it is right there. It's like one step over. They were trying to create a device that could call monsters. And it could have been a subplot that they were trying to make it so that they could call a specific monster.
Like
so if they
Godzilla.
if Kiko had in those like 60 days or 50 days in the Hollow Earth had figured that out but like hadn't tested it yet, and it was like a desperate call, and they actually called Godzilla on purpose at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Even that alone would have made that final battle a little more something.
It does feel like a precursor to the Orca from King of the Monsters, where they can't remember her name, Millie Bobby Brown's mom, the scientist, created the big old laptop briefcase thing that had all the calls of the kaiju in it, and she was trying to mix it to find the alpha mix. I don't know, and it's what caught the attention of the other kaiju. It caught Godzilla, it caught Ghidorah, things like that.
Yeah, so we'll watch the season 2 if they make it. It does make me excited to watch the other movies that already have come out, especially Skull Island.
If this ends up building up a lot to Godzilla versus Kong, I think I switch every time on Kong versus Godzilla or Godzilla versus Kong. If it builds it up, I might not hate that movie as much.
Sure.
Maybe it'll do the Clone Wars treatment for the prequels.
All right. Well, that leads us into the final segment
we did
of the
watch
show.
one more thing tonight. We don't have to talk about it, but I
don't have any real
thought
comments.
it's important to acknowledge that Cameron allowed us to watch another episode of G1.
It's
The
a
Golden Lagoon.
famous episode. It was actually the only single episode that I knew about going into
Lagoon.
Transformers before we started watching. I've been waiting for this one to pop up. Pretty much, broadly speaking, this episode, the Transformers find a pond or a lake of gold. What do they call it?
Electrum.
Electrum is the material. And the Transformers, if they bathe in it, they come out totally gold and invincible. All the Decepticons do it. And then the Autobots trick them into attacking the Autobot base. And then they're gone. The Autobots are gone and they dip themselves. But then by the time the Decepticons attack them at the lake, their gold wears off, which allows the Autobots to win the day. But not before the Decepticons destroy the lake. And everyone is celebrating, but there was the first Autobot who had discovered it. He became friends with the animals there very briefly, and it cuts to him sitting amongst the wreckage, and he just says,
amongst the triumphant music too.
Yes, and what does he say? We won.
Yeah, very sadly.
But we won.
Yeah,
Very
very sadly.
Eeyore-esque.
Oh,
So that's the
my
famous ending of this episode, is the somewhat environmental message. I think that's an interesting concept for an episode, but the episode is like almost all fighting, and I think you could have done a little bit more. There is like one
It's kind of
sequence.
hard when they all have a carbon footprint of some form, probably.
Yeah. There is one sequence where they show the animals scared, but I just don't think that they really... It's like 10% environmental
I'd be scared
message.
of giant robots too.
So what I'm saying is they should have worked the animals more into it. Like, imagine... I mean, I don't think they would have ever done this. It would have been too heartbreaking, but imagine if the entire episode was the
Imagine if one of them
Autobots...
stepped on a deer.
If they had spent the whole episode like saving the animals, and then they still end up destroying their home at the end. It's an interesting concept for an episode, but ultimately not.
I would also like to make a note on that comic that we saw for the beginning Skybound, where Optimus Prime steps on a deer. First of all,
Make sure you speak into the mic.
have you So I want to make a comment on the Skybound comic that I had Cameron read, where Optimus Prime steps on a deer like 2 feet into being on Earth. One thing: have you ever looked at a deer wrong? They run. 2. Hypothetically, I feel like if Optimus Prime stepped on a deer, his foot would encapsulate the whole deer, and there wouldn't be like 2 halves on each side of his foot, because that gives like a weird impression of a very long deer. Anyways,
All right, meme minute, but it's longer than a minute.
I have a video.
So do I. Go ahead and show yours.
This is from Rise of Skywalker.
What could you give me? Cheese.
Very good. Very good.
Chase.
So I have this video. It's a video of Andrew Garfield on a talk show, and I just have it listed. Rachel, anytime Andor comes up.
I love talking about it, by the way. So if I cry, it's only like.
Hey now, shut up. Hey, I didn't choose to attack like that tonight.
Oh.
I can't believe that. I can't believe the conversation we had earlier of how much I cry at movies.
So
Athena, cut that out.
So this video I'm gonna have a little context for. So good friend of mine,
No
I've mentioned on the
context.
pod before, Bailey, who's a big Star Wars and Transformers and Godzilla fan. He does really good social media content, and so he made a really good video. So here is the song that he is making a joke about. It's the Dua Lipa song Houdini. So here's the main line. It didn't. I had it. This link is supposed to take it to a specific time in the time code. I'm sorry.
Here's the link. Silence.
It didn't go to the right spot in the video. I think this is... Okay, so that's the actual song, and I'm just scrolling through Instagram, and here's the video that Bailey made. I had never heard the song
It
before.
would have been, honestly, so much funnier if the caption hadn't been Utini.
Oh, is it in the caption?
It is.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, you can find him as the Movie Daddy on TikTok and Instagram. Yeah, so I like that, though.
That's good. That's good.
Any other videos?
Nope.
All right, how many memes you got?
I don't count anymore.
Just in general, you just don't know how to count anymore. It's not relevant for your job, so you just don't do it.
How many do you have?
12.
13!
Oh, perfect. Okay, give me your first one.
So this is actually just kind of more of like a Reddit post and screenshot. It's actually TikTok. And it's that scene of Rey looking over the destroyed Death Star over the ocean. And it's captioned, "Let's talk about the fact that Rey has to be mentally running the numbers on Death Star scrap here."
Yeah,
As she's looking over it. Rey, we're going to be Griffin loaded. Poe, Finn, what? And it's very funny. It's just the idea of her going, that's a lot of...
So many. What is it? So many portions.
It's so many more.
This one, it says when you forget to spell check your meme before uploading, and it's got Anakin from episode 1 saying to Padme, "Are you an angle?" And she says, "What?" And her head's at a 90-degree angle. But I just see that image and I think, what? Okay, what else you got?
A screenshot from the new trailer of Godzilla and Kong running next to each other.
We are going to beat you to death. Is there a reference there I'm not getting, or is it
That's
just
it. That's it, Cameron.
very blunt? That's a good reaction image, I think.
We're going to beat you to death.
This one is just a post that says, "I figured out you can make Star Wars character sounding names by switching the first 2 sounds of 2-word food items. Weef Bellington, Villy Cord, wait, oh, like Chili Verde, but Villy Kerde,
Really
Seacan Pandies, Dot Hog, Tench Frost,
Ugh. Ugh.
Pabanero Hepper."
I don't like that one.
What else you got?
It's captioned, "Why do you kill people?" It's a picture of Sentinel Prime and like a very zoomed out, like very long, very thick text. The picture of Megatron, and underneath it instead of text, IDK. So like the why do you kill people? Very long reason. And then compared to IDK.
So this is relevant for two different reasons. So it's a photo of Coleman Domingo, who was the voice of. Oh, dang it! I'm gonna forget his name. The big round planet-eating boy in Transformers.
Unicron?
Thank you. He was a Unicron in Rise of the Beasts, and someone tweeted the photo of him, and it says "Best dressed tonight." And someone retweeted that saying, "This man is about to betray Han Solo to Darth Vader on Cloud City."
Oh my god!
His clothes are very
bright yellow, flamboyant. I love it.
Very,
the
very
leopard coat.
Lando.
There's a picture of the stairs to heaven. It's just captioned "Join us," and
oh, is it all?
Of the stairs is Dark Disciple. And at the top of heaven is Kanan, the Last Padawan, the Ahsoka novel, Star Wars Dooku Jedi Lost, which is also apparently another book about Ventress, and then Star Wars Aftermath.
So there's all the stuff
all the decanonized books. Apparently, it's not going to be
is
decanonized.
Is it specifically Filoni? Because someone posted a meme of like Filoni, me after Filoni decanonized another book. Like, you can't keep getting away with this.
Yeah.
Rarest things in Star Wars: Kyber crystals, Force Dyad, Crate Dragon Pearl. Filoni without a hat.
He's naked. Bald.
So that was the whole. Was that maybe the whole secret purpose of showing Ahsoka without her head thing in Ahsoka? Was that he's trying to normalize people who are known for their hats without them? What else you got?
This is a text conversation. It's purple. Bruh, glad I never did that though. I did cancel a date once to watch Star Wars Rebels. The response, wow. The purple, have you ever watched Rebels? And then the response, no, but I wouldn't cancel a date over a show. The immediate response, see, you've never watched Rebels before.
That's very you.
What's that supposed to mean?
So this is kind of similar to the previous meme you showed me about the Decepticons and their motivations. This is a poor drawing of Godzilla in the shower, and his thought bubble has like atomic bombs and Mothra and like the food chain and like rocks balancing like the balance of the universe, and just like there's a lot going on. And then you've got a poorly drawn monkey, which is supposed to be Kong, and it's just a girl and bananas in his thought bubble. What else you got?
Godzilla is saying he has no reason to save humans. They are always bullying me. Rodan agrees with him. That's screenshots from one of the older movies.
Are those actual subtitles from the movie?
Look at it.
They are always bullying me. Rodan agrees with him. What? I don't... It's funny, but I don't get what's happening. Was that like actual narration from the movie?
It is actual narration from the movie.
That's so good.
I believe it is. I can't remember it. Well, there's like 14, and I watched all of them last summer. And after the 6th one, I kind of got brain melted rot. I believe it is either where they're all against. I think it's where they're Rodan, Mothra, and Geras and Godzilla all fight against. Ghidorah. And yes, there is this weird zone. Well, that's actually Rodan. Low-res Rodan. And there's this whole weird...
Low-res Rodan can't hurt you.
And then, like, 2-pixel Mothra. Larva Mothra. And so there's where... Yeah. Yes, that's what it is. Not Martha. Mothra's, like, trying to...
Why did you say that name?
Ask them to help. Where's Rachel? Anyways. And so, yes, there's this whole bit where it's just like captions and they're just roaring at each other. It's so funny.
So this is Steve from Blue's Clues. I believe this is from whenever he returned to the show. And he said, and then look at you. He's talking into the camera. Look at all you've done and all you've accomplished. And the fourth frame just says, you flooded the internet web with Star Wars memes.
That's us. Did you make that
No,
one?
couldn't be us.
Did you make that one?
You want to double down and guess right now? Give you double to nothing
No.
odds. Triple to nothing.
No. So this is the meme format of Homer Simpson making a bowl of cereal that catches on fire. And G1 Megatron is Homer. The cereal box is captioned the perfect plan, and there's a JPEG of Starscream on the milk carton. And it says the cereal the perfect plan when he adds it to it, it catches on fire.
Then quit adding Starscream. This has got a picture of Palpatine from episode 3 saying "Do it," but instead of the word "do," it has a Mountain Dew bottle. Do it. But then it's got Palpatine or the Emperor from episode 6, and he says "So be it." But it's got the drink Sobe.
Those are good.
Do those still exist? Do they
No,
still make
they
those?
do
I didn't
not.
think
I
so.
don't think so.
That's why I kind of like this reference. This is a dated reference.
I
So be it.
used to do a Palpatine impersonation all the time, and my college roommate, I hated it. She'd be like, "Stop it,
Stop it.
'Cause I go, no, no, like, all the time.
What else you got?
It's a picture of someone holding their pillow above their head. God, give me a reason to go to work, and it's like a one of those like famous pictures of Jesus with his hands open up, hands holding up. And it said, your Star Wars comics aren't cheap, my child. And he's holding a Star Wars comic in each hand.
Very good. This is a very nostalgic. I can hear this meme. It's a very nostalgic original Battlefront reference, but it's done so it's the scene from Avengers: Infinity War whenever right after Thanos snaps his fingers and he's talking to young Gamora and Gamora says
That's my Battlefront 2 impersonation.
the death noise. She says, "Did you do it?" And the clone trooper, "We've captured a command post. What did it cost? We've lost a command post." Like every single time you captured a
Play
command
that with
post.
my brother all the time, and I was the worst younger sibling because I got so upset because he'd kill me so well. But that was also because I was a sniper, and he would just actually kill way more people than me and get heroes. So
I see.
a blurst image.
Mon Mothra. So
Blurst.
I feel like we've had this joke, but it was Mothman, but it was,
Have we?
what was it? It was similar, but it was
it Mon Mothman?
I think so. Yeah, a very similar joke,
Or
but it was
another
Mon
Mon Mothra
Mothman.
joke?
No, it was Mon Mothman. That's what it was.
Oh, because I drew that one.
Yeah. Alderaan.
Oh my gosh. Is say Alderoff.
Alderoff.
No!
Just space.
It's just an image.
So you've got that great meme of the woman looking very confused and all the math symbols around here, but instead of the woman, it's
It's
Thrawn.
Rebels Thrawn. There's a difference.
So this is relevant to something we've been talking about a lot today. This is the quote from the boss, Mr. Waternoose from Monsters Inc.
Monsters Inc.
Except for someone has photoshopped Dave Filoni's face onto his with the correct number of eyes, and it says, "I'll retcon 1,000 novels before I let my favorite characters die." Bizarre. He's got it's. They've made his face wider and given him 5 eyes.
Oh no, I hate
Oh,
that.
I wish I had invented this. It's so funny. What else you got?
In this house, we stand for the flag and kneel for the fallen.
Except for it's a Decepticon flag and it's the Fallen
Fallen.
from Transformers 2. Oof.
Hey, what was it? Hey,
Has anyone actually got eaten by Godzilla, or is it just society trying to stop me from petting Big Lizard Boy? he's peeking over the
very
mountain.
targeted. Very targeted. My kidnapper is returning me after listening to me talk about Transformers lore for 2 hours.
It's Ralphie from The Simpsons crashing the window, but it's got a real photo of like shelves of Transformers toys. That's really funny. This is the Drake pointing meme, and he's shying away from Captain Phasma, and he's pointing to Captain Asthma, and it's General Grievous.
General asthma.
All right, that's my final meme.
The last one. Construction workers watching the Autobots demolish the whole city to kill the villain. It's
Just a straight-on image of Bayverse Optimus.
horrifying.
All right.
And now
So,
comes
if
the-
you don't know, every week we make one of these memes. Each of us made one of these memes, and now we are going to guess which meme the other one made.
Which shmeme?
Yeah. And while Rachel is sending me her memes, our closing credits, as always. Thank you to Caleb Jacoby for our new intro, but same outro music. He really killed it. So phenomenal job. Props to Rachel for our excellent artwork, which, by the way, we need to add we decided on something to represent animation.
Let's just put the Disney G on it, or the Disney D on it.
No. But also thank you for running our, I almost said Rebel account, our Twitter account at Rebels Robot Pod.
Big props to Cameron for running our Facebook.
Give us something to read on
But
the
not
pod.
on Amazon reviews.
Leave us a review, but not on Amazon. Tweet or DM us memes or opinions. What Star Wars and or Transformers and or Godzilla and or piece of animation makes you cry? And what was the most recent one? Thumbs up if you also cried during Godzilla -1.
Your wife really likes General Grievous. Did you make the Grievous one? Or no, I mean, that was a hypothetical question. That was my actual guess. That was just an observation.
Let's see. We are going to beat you to death. Why do you kill people? Join us. Text messages. Godzilla is saying he has no reason to save humans. The perfect plan. God, give me a reason to go to work. That has definitely been you recently.
Look,
Mon Mothra.
I hate driving in bad weather.
Mon Mothra feels very Rachel. But also putting the drawings over the math stuff over Thrawn also feels very Rachel.
Hey, this photoshopped image of Filoni with 5 eyes looks better than the effects in Multiverse of Madness.
Oh shoot! Yeah, the specifically the third eye that he has. Construction workers watching the Autobots demolish the whole city. That's really good. I'm down to 2. I'm guessing Mon Mothra.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Which is really funny considering I also made the other Mon
yeah.
Mothman one.
That is what cued it off for me. But that is okay because I have finally stopped a 4-week skid of loss. We were tied at week 16.
Time.
No, not for a very long time. You were ahead, and then I did my brilliant 2-point bet, which paid off, and that tied us. And then you went 4 straight weeks guessing correctly, and I went 4 straight weeks guessing incorrectly. So this is week 20. I'm now 11-10.
You've made a lot of jokes about the retconning.
But did I make that meme is the question. Rachel is currently 13-6.
For a second, I thought you were calling me like 13 years old, and I was like, what?
What are these
Why?
random strays?
I was like, what? You just get out of my house now. I was like, what are you doing? Like, what? What? Oh my gosh.
I meant to look up.
Did you do Filoni without hat?
Is that your official guess?
Yeah.
I did not make that
Oh,
one.
gosh.
I actually have to remember now. I made the one about has anyone ever gotten eaten by Godzilla, or are they trying to stop me from
Oh,
petting
you
big lizard
did?
boys? It originally said something like, has anyone actually gotten
Dang.
sick, gotten salmonella from eating raw cookie dough, or is society just trying to stop me from being happy?
The watermark at the bottom threw me off.
Oh, yeah, that was already
that was
on
be
it.
My other guess when you were like, look at the way he's peeking over. I was like,
I wanted to edit Dr. Serizawa onto the guy, but I couldn't find a good image of like Serizawa
like,
rotated, so I just left it.
Dear Ken Watanabe, can you send a picture of yourself from behind?
Ooh, yeah, I'm sure that would go over super well.
Like you're looking across a bridge. Thank you. Also, would you like to star on our podcast? We'll compliment you.
Oh, that would be brilliant. Rachel just wouldn't be able to talk the whole time.
Watanabe, I love you.
Just
Not in a weird way, but you're just my favorite.
how bizarre would it be for him to be only interviewed about the 2 Godzilla movies he was in that he made like 10 years ago?
What if he like hates them?
Who knows? He
These
might.
are like my least.
Yeah, that's
favorite.
why he died. It was he actually got what Han Solo always
In the movie, right?
Yeah, that's why he died in the movie, was that he hated being in them, which is what Harrison Ford always wanted for Han Solo ever since Empire.
Harrison Ford. God, I've seen what you've done for others. I got scared for a second. I thought you were making like a comment that
No.
he died, and I was like, "You can't." I'm gonna cry on the podcast.
I'm crying in the pod right now. Thank you so much for listening, guys. I just recently edited together our what we talked about at the top of the episode, our highlight reel from episode 1. It was a ton of fun. Not episode 1, year 1. It's fun. We have got a lot to talk about the next couple months for year 2. So stick around, and we'll be here every other week podcasting about this
Unless
nonsense.
more stuff keeps coming out.
I had to sign off, and I have to remember what it was. I didn't write it down. Dang.
Who were the other people at the nursing home that Shaw was in?
Just old people, I presume.
He just populated it with old people to keep him company.
This is Cameron and Rachel signing off, saying, "Everyone, get out of the pod." Good night, everyone. Rachel, I have a surprise for you.
Am I getting fired? Oh, we need to
What a way to announce.
We need to do our yearly evaluations. Athena, come here. I can tell you all the great ways you've been doing editing.